Good morning, world. We are here. We are live. You can check us on YouTube. You can check us on Facebook. You can check us on the app I'm sure you have downloaded from the website WMSK Online Radio. Tell a friend, bring a friend, drag a friend. Let them know we are here. We have a great topic for today, and I hope you all will interact with us. Good morning to whoever has just joined us. I am not ignoring you. I'm just doing invites.
Don't make a move without contacting Focus Movers. They offer affordable moving rates, reliable service, fully equipped state-of-the-art trucks, locally owned and operated, a 24-hour call center. You give them a call. Do it today. 443-506-7905. Don't make a move without Focus Movers. 443-506-7905. Free moving quotes, commercial and residential. Full service moves, local and long distance. Last second and emergency moves can be done too. They are fully licensed and insured. Call them at 443-506-7905 or book online at www.focusmovers.com. Don't make a move without calling Focus
Hey,
Movers.
Maddie. All right, y'all, we getting ready to start.
This is Arlene Major, better known as Lady Blue, and you are listening to The Covenant Connection, live on WMSKOnlineradio.com, where talk radio just got better. Be blessed.
No. Hey, Anthony. Good morning, good morning. Well, good morning, and good morning. TGI Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Thank grace it's Friday. Just thank you. It is Friday. We have made it through another week. We are in October. Fall is here. Hi, everybody. I am Arlene Major.
Hey, good morning, family. It's your man, Victor Major.
And we are Covenant Connection, and we are live, L-I-V-E live, on the home of Cheryl Underwood Morning Show, WMSKOnlineradio.com, where talk radio just got better. And you have the honor and the privilege of hearing our brand new intro. Thanks to our good friends out there in Hampton, Virginia,
Yes.
Jonah's Run. Thank you to Pastor Mize, to Sherrod, and to the whole entire crew of Jonah's Run. We are tickled pink on that, and you all will hear it again throughout this show. But thank you to Jonah's Run for all that you have done and all that you contribute to this show. We are so appreciative of you. So y'all are going to be hearing some more from Jonah's Run throughout the show. So just keep it locked. Other than that, thank you all for being here. Make sure you have downloaded the free app from WMSKOnlineradio.com so you can take us on the go. You can take us on your lunch break, coffee break, walk break, gym break. Just don't break nothing while you're doing it. Okay. So as we go into today, let's just get it started. We have a great topic for you. And honey, that topic is...
hypocrisy/transparency.
Ooh, yes, we are going to get kind of a little down and a little dirty today, but we're going to keep it faithful, okay? Other than that, honey, can you go ahead and lead us in prayer?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I found a nice prayer about transparency.
All right.
If you'd like to read that. It says, Lord, we acknowledge that you see everything. You know our motives. You see our actions. You perceive our every thought. You hear every word coming out of our mouth. We confess that we have blind spots and biases. They keep us from seeing the truth. At times we ignore the scripture. Other times we ignore you speaking through other people. We admit we do not see clearly. Give us transparency. First, God is in transparency with you. Let us see what you see in our request to make sure they are of you. Help us to listen and hear your voice. Secondly, God is in transparency with others. Lead us beyond controlling relationships and manipulation. Let us see the well-being in those around us instead of our own gain. Today we ask you to give us a clean hand and a pure heart. Remind us of the gospel, the good news, of your death and resurrection. You are more, we are more sinful and broken than ever, though, and more love. I'm sorry. we are, excuse me, I'm sorry. We are more sinful and broken than we ever thought, but more love than we could ever imagine. Ultimately, you call us to live in the light, learn to see what you see. Lord, please give us transparency. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. I do want you all to know we have shared this Facebook Live video. Facebook is like not letting us be great today. They're claiming we're going against community standards by sharing our video. But it's all right. We're going to continue on because God says so.
That's
so,
right.
With all of that being said, thank you, honey, for that wonderful prayer to lead us into our topic for today, hypocrisy. Y'all know, and transparency, let me not forget both words, okay?
Yeah.
First of all, y'all know I love definitions, so let's define hypocrisy, shall we? Yeah. Hypocrisy is the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform, okay? Similar words to that is being sanctimonious, being pietous or having piousness, false virtue, pretense, deceit, deceitfulness. There's a lot of words, dishonesty, dissimulation, duplicity, all of those different words that lead into that. And of course, you have your opposite words, which are honesty and sincerity. Okay, so when hypocrisy is in the mix, you're going against what is morally correct, basically. If I'm on the right track here, am I? Okay. Okay. So with that definition in mind, let's dive into hypocrisy and how that. Good morning to Dr. Eric Holmes, and also good morning to Pastor Linda Hillman out there in California. Thank y'all for joining us. Appreciate you. So y'all can interact and dive in on this topic of hypocrisy and transparency. My husband and I were talking last night, and he shared it was a Daily Bread reading, right? And it had to do with the story of Tamar and the things that went into that. And hello, Patricia. Hold on a second. She says good morning. She's going to try and stay on for as long as she can. She is in the hospital in ICU, and she needs to hear some encouragement. So first of all, Patricia, thank you for coming in.
Yes,
Secondly, God bless you. Thirdly, we have you in our prayers, and we thank you for making an effort to be here with us today, and we will do our best to encourage you in that. If I'm going to offer a word of encouragement before we really get into it, I'm going to say just, lean on the everlasting arms. That's what I'm going to tell you, okay? He is there with you. He is the ultimate physician. He is the one that will take care of you from start to finish, and there is no other like the Lord. So just remember that as you are going through what you are going through, and also those of you that are following us, listening to us, or watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube, please say a prayer for our friend Patricia. Shell. Okay, moving on. We were talking about the story of Tamar and Tamar's hypocrisy. Honey, if you want to go a little bit into that, because there's different levels. Before you do that, there's different levels of hypocrisy. We have society hypocrisy, we have political hypocrisy, we have biblical hypocrisy, there's levels to anything else. There's levels of hypocrisy all throughout. So dive a little bit into Tamar before we have to go to commercial break. But why was Tamar the chosen story?
And I think it's more so about Judah than it is Tamar. Okay. Again, because Judah had promised her to take care of her after her sons had passed. Mm-hmm. She didn't have a child. She wanted to have a child, and he kind of fell down on his duty to take care of her after her sons had passed. After his sons had passed, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. She had married his son. So he kind of fell down on his duty to take care of her. So again, in her desire to have a child, mm-hmm. she decided to put on the prostitute's veil, mm-hmm. and sleep with him. So he went to the place where the prostitutes would hang out, and he saw her. He asked her to sleep with him, and she did. And she was trying to ask for a promise that he would take care of her. What are you going to give me
Right.
for me sleeping with you? So
Right.
he said he would give her a goat, a ram. I mean, I'm sorry, I believe it was a goat.
Chicken goat, yes.
Yeah, I believe it was a goat. So she said, okay, well, what will you give me to tell me that you're going to hold up to your promise? So he gave her his seal, and there was something else that he gave her to show that this was him. This is the promise that I have, and I'm going to take care of you. Excuse me. So his hypocrisy came in when he had sent the goat to her and she wasn't there.
Okay.
He had found out that there was a prostitute that was pregnant.
Right.
So
he
he said, okay, well, bring her out and burn her.
Mm-hmm.
So when they went to give her goat, she wasn't there, but they found, one of his attendants that went to find who she was had found out that there was a prostitute. I mean, that she had prostituted herself and got pregnant. So when they went to get her and bring her out,
Mm-hmm.
she showed him the seal.
Right.
So he had to change his tune.
Because she had asked for all of that prior to all
Right.
of these actions. And even Pastor Linda just said he hid his last son because he did not want his son to die. So she tricked him into keeping his word.
Right.
And she asked him not for just the seal. She asked him for something else.
There was something else, yeah. I'm sorry. It
So
escapes
there's a
me
couple
at this
things
moment.
that she asked for in this whole entire thing. And that's his hypocrisy showed in the fact that he wasn't upholding his duties as the patriarch of the family, not the matriarch. Matriarch is the lady. The patriarch of the family by taking care of his son's widow.
Right.
So that's where that falls into line. But continue on. He wanted her bought out and burned, but she showed what she had.
Right.
So he had no choice at that time but to say, okay.
Right. He had to change his tune. Now he don't want to kill her because that's his seed.
Right.
So again, he says that she's more righteous than I. So don't kill her. But that story, I think, just it spoke to me in a lot of different ways because a lot of us are hypocrites in a lot of ways. And I didn't want to make this any particular focus on the church or anything like
Right.
that.
Right. We're just talking about the act in general, but that was just the story that started.
Right,
our
the act of hypocrisy.
Right.
And again, what's going on in our government today and in this country. But it's human nature. We all have been hypocritical at different points in time. And I don't know how far you want to go into that before we have the break.
You
But
still
that-
have some time, yeah.
Okay, that story just made me think, and it was connected in my spirit about transparency,
Mhm.
and I couldn't quite figure out why, that was connected and how to approach this topic and
Right.
not make it negative and not make it so much about the church, but realizing that we all have been hypocrites. Sometimes and we used the example last night, sometimes we tell our children, to be honest, tell the truth all the time. And when that bill could like to come knocking on the door, that's the first thing you're going to say, oh, tell them we're not home.
Right.
So we're not telling the truth before our children sometimes. And we all have done it in one way or another.
Right.
Or we try to portray ourselves, especially sometimes new Christians. And I think that's one of the things that turned a lot of people off. And I know for me, it was one of those things before I truly got committed that I didn't want to feel like a hypocrite going to church knowing that I wasn't doing all the right things and I wasn't fully committed. And I know that's also a trick of the enemy to keep you from, seeking,
We talked
searching
about
God.
last week,
Yeah,
last go around.
absolutely in spiritual warfare. But it was one of those things where you feel like you're being a hypocrite if you are professing to be a Christian and live in a certain way, but you still have sin and still do things that are not of God.
Mhm.
And that transparency, man, that thing is, like I said, it's been so heavy on my spirit because I think that's the thing that humbles us, that transparent, being able to be transparent and not hypocritical, I think is the thing, one of those things that's really going to help draw more non-Christians into understanding and loving, the people of Christ, as well as, first of all, loving Christ, loving God, loving living this life when you're able to be open and transparent, because it takes a level of humility to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be real, be 100%. Okay, I'm trying to live this life. I'm living this life, but I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes. I still got, a plank in my eye. So I'm not going to look at you in judgment of you. And that's one of those things I think that turns a lot of people off when Christians look to judge someone else, or can see fault or sin in somebody else, knowing that you have issues that you have as well.
Right. That's the word escapes me. But anyway, I talked about it before how, you're constantly pointing the finger at somebody else and pointing out their wrongs and not realizing there's about 3 or 4 fingers that are pointing back at you going, hello. You need to take a look in the mirror before you start trying, just like you said, the plank in my eye versus the, trying to remove the what's going on with somebody else. And that's the thing. That's something that we need to turn around as a society. Linda says we as people live to disassociate and deflect, which yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
We as human beings, we don't want to be wrong. That's one thing. All of us. I don't care who you are. None of us want to be wrong. But at the same time, it says something about you when you can turn around and if you are wrong, go, you know what? I was wrong about that. And I'm glad you pointed that out to me. Nobody's ever going to, not a lot of people will do that.
That's absolutely true. And I mean, and we went to lunch with our son last week, and that's one of the things that we were talking about. And I think and that's why I can pretty much say that everybody has done it. Everybody has been in that place where they're being hypocritical, because they're especially when you begin a new relationships, and that's what we were talking about with him, in dealing with relationships. Somebody who wants to make a good impression is only going to give you the good in themselves because they want you to see them in a good light.
Right.
They're not going to reveal their dirt. They're not going to talk about
that. We can put on today's society because we are seeing a lot of that in today's society. I only need you to see the good I do. I don't need you to see anything bad. I don't need you to see my dirt. And that's we talk about that. If you flip that back over about, we put on that mask when we walk outside the home. And then when we go back in our home is when we are our true selves. We take off the makeup, we take off the wig, we take off all this other stuff. And we are who we are. And that's in private where nobody is able to look at us, which is why, put it again on society, social media offers that level of hypocrisy too, because people will not be who they truly are.
Absolutely, that you're not going to be your true, authentic self. And I think, I know for me, I appreciate and I've always respected pastors, ministers, men of God who are able to be transparent. And when I got into men's ministry, where these guys were willing to reveal themselves, who they are, and be true and real about the issues that they have, I respected them that much more. And I think being able to look at yourself in the mirror and be transparent is the only way that you can make the change that you really need in your life. I mean, on a personal level, on a spiritual level, of course, you still have to be able to recognize, but God is the one that's going to make that change for you, because It's hard for you to do it in your own. But if you can't see yourself in that light and see them flaws, you're going to be lying to yourself.
Right.
And there's some scripture that talk about it, looking at yourself, you be lying to yourself and think more highly of yourself than what you actually are. then you're absolutely lying to yourself.
Right. That's being, what's the word? Hypocritical.
That's being hypocritical. Absolutely.
Not true to your own self is a fault. It's a fault. And Pastor Linda, you are welcome to call in during the 12 o'clock hour, okay? And give us your insight to all of that. She says, women of God can be transparent too, not just men. Well, we know that in the Bible it constantly talks about what man can do, but we have to look at that's like a covering for all.
Right. I mean, and I was only speaking personally from my experience in dealing with the men's ministry, because these were the guys that pulled me aside and talked with me and shared with me, encouraged me. So I'm just speaking from a personal perspective. Again, absolutely, women can and are transparent. I think women are probably more transparent than men are.
Why do you say that?
In general.
Why do you say that?
Because I think women, because they are willing to share their heart more so than men, it's easier for them to be able to be transparent.
Okay, that I do agree with. Okay, and like I said, Pastor Linda, you are welcome to call in and give us your perspective on this during the 12 o'clock hour, because we welcome all perspectives.
We have to wait. Well, that's when we got the full hour.
Right, that's when we got the full hour, no interruptions. We don't have to wait for commercial breaks and none of that. Because we are going to be getting ready to go to commercial break here and pay the piper shortly. But again, that just from start to finish, it covers such a broad area, and we talk about transparency, especially in our modern day society with our political arena the way it is, and who's transparent and who's not, who's out there just looking to shine and not being true to what they, were placed in their position to be. Okay, we are seeing levels of hypocrisy that we have never seen before. Absolutely. I'm not, the word that's been overburdened and overused is, unprecedented, but it is something just like. Nobody thought Obama was going to get in office. Boom, Obama's in office. Nobody thought this was going to happen. Boom, it happened. Nobody thought that what's going on today is happening, but here we are. Okay, and it can go into the workplace, and then, like you said, with how we teach and what we show our children and things of that nature in regards to constantly telling them, be truthful in this, that, and the other, and not looking at ourselves in the aspect of, just tell them I'm not at home, tell them call back later.
And that goes back to, I think, that old saying that I think a lot of us have heard, from our parents: do as I say, not as I do. And again,
I talk about
even
that
as
too.
Children, right? I think even as children, you're able to respect your parents when you can see the real authentic person that your parent is.
Right.
Can show some frailties and show the humanity, as opposed to even a parent looking at themselves as being above.
Right.
Reproach or any negativity or sin.
That's true. Well, we're gonna go pay the piper, and then we're gonna come right back. So y'all hang on. We still got plenty to talk about. So this is Covenant Connection, and we are live right here on the home of Cheryl Underwood Morning Show, WMSKOnlineRadio.com. Where?
Talk radio just got better.
Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Hey, Tangy, your lunch invite? Well, girlfriend, get on the plane.
You are listening to Covenant Connection live on WMSKOnlineRadio.com, where talk radio just got better.
The views and opinions expressed on
I know y'all really want to watch my husband eat pretzels,
those
right?
of the guests,
Anyway.
hosts, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station.
Well, guess who got a response from one of the
Or
candidates?
advertising. The show is founded on WMSK Online Radio.
Guess who responded?
Can't promote any lifestyle,
Bernie Sanders.
beliefs, religion, political affiliation, or personal preference.
Pose a great question. Crime survivors also want the support they need and deserve to get back on their feet, like trauma and recovery services to help stop cycles of violence and crime. Roughly half. Hey Chris,
Well, Council
roughly half of all sexual assault victims
7171 security
lose their
protocol.
jobs or are
Also,
forced to quit their
women,
jobs. In the United States, about 2/3
women,
of these,
we do it all.
those injured from intimate partner violence, predominantly women, do not receive medical care. Of all domestic violence victims who need housing, more than half do not receive this help, and about 40% of them become homeless at some point in their lives. He answered my question. He even went into sex trafficking, funding the research, immediate reauthorization of the Violence Against Women's Act, providing housing assistance. I think that's on everybody's agenda. Expanding non-police interventions for domestic violence, including National Health Hotline and state-funded long-term counseling. I'm appreciative that a candidate finally answered my question, and I did not give up on getting a candidate to answer my question. Now I'm gonna wait on the others and see what happens with that. I'm the only one I need to send this to is I need to send it to Julian Castro. I haven't had a chance to send it to him yet. I want to thank Bernie Sanders and his team for answering my question. I'm very appreciative of that. There's a couple of biblical things. What you mean, Linda? Oh, you mean in terms of that? He's giving, I asked there, that's what he plans to do if he gets the presidential, if he's not elected to be president of the United States. Those are his things. Expanding non-police interventions, including National Health Hotline, state-funded long-term counseling, reauthorizing the VAWA Act, providing the housing assistance and paid leave for victims of assault, which is something that is really needed because a lot of people use up their sick leave and then they can't afford the counseling that they need to deal with it. So I'll be sharing it, so y'all just look out for that. I'm gonna share the whole entire thing. I'm just very happy that I got an answer. Yes, ma'am. I'm going to do the whole 9 yards right now. Like I said, I'm just excited that somebody actually answered my question. One here that talks about Isaiah and how Isaiah condemned hypocrisy in his day. So maybe we can lead in with, how Isaiah dealt with it. And I have it all right up here. It kind of jumps in between Isaiah and, Jesus and his condemnation of the religious leaders that we talked about the Pharisees. Did we talk about the Pharisees and the Sadducees? Anyway, we talked about
that last night.
Okay, right. There's their hypocrisy, and then the wolf in sheep's clothing. That's something I wanted to talk about because we have a lot of that going on. People who, that goes into that mask thing. Looking one way to blend in with the crowd, and then incorporating that deceit within that group.
examples other than the ones we talked about last night.
Kind of going off the cuff.
So you're looking at putting these scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
We are reaching out to you. Our living today.
That's right.
All right, everybody, we are back. We are live. We are the home, Covenant Connection on the home of Cheryl Underwood Morning Show, WMSKOnlineRadio.com, where talk radio just got better. I do want you to make sure that you are following us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at WMSK Online Radio. And when you do, you share, tag us using the hashtag WMSK Grind. You can also use the hashtag Covenant Connection 16. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you get Urban Reality News right in your hand. That's State versus Us magazine, your official source to the streets from prison, highlighting high-profile cases, corruption in the police department, government, the prison system, wrongful convictions, and success stories of the formerly incarcerated. So if you or someone you know has a story to tell about a feature or ad space, please email stateversususmag@gmail.com. That's stateversusmag@gmail.com. You can get your print or digital copy today at stateversususmag.com. And I do want to thank State versus Us magazine as well as WMSK Online Radio because they have been a sponsor and supporter of 50 Shades of Blue, the domestic violence awareness initiative that I host every year. And they are offering to, they have allowed me to offer to all you business owners out there. It does not matter if you are here in the DMV or you are national or you are international. Hear me and hear me well. If you donate at least $50 to 50 Shades of Blue, we can get you set up with radio marketing here on this station. If you donate $100 or more, that is going to give you at least 30 days. So businesses, small businesses, this is your time to get radio marketing and expand your reach and also introduce yourself to a whole new audience. So please get in contact with me at 50 Shades of Blue Baltimore at gmail.com. That's 50 Shades of Blue Baltimore at gmail.com. Or you can call me at 443-579-5401. Leave a message. I will call you back. Now, the other thing about that is 50 Shades of Blue is in 8 days. Next Saturday, fast approaching, and we need you, the community, to come on out and support. This event doesn't happen without community support, so we need your donations. We're in the middle of our dollar dash right now, so if I'm asking you, if you're listening to me, whether on Facebook Live, YouTube, the app, or wherever you're listening to me at, if you can donate $1 to via Cash App to Beautiful Blue. That's $ Beautiful BLUU, $1, okay, or however your heart leads, so that we can go ahead and raise the final $300 that we need for next week. I'm excited about this event. We are already on a couple of prominent places here in Baltimore and in Virginia, thanks to Chandra Gore Consulting out in Stafford, Virginia, who is also one of my speakers. We've got vendors for the men, for the women, for the kids. Goodfellas Kitchen is coming out. We've got swag bags for the first 100 in the building. Also, real quick, and I'll give my husband the mic here. Some of our sponsors are Focus Movers. Of course, WMSK, we have Shonda Gore Consulting, we have the 108 organization in D6. We also have Gentlemen of Destiny, one of our brand new sponsors for 50 Shades of Blue, and we're excited about that. And I want to encourage the young men, youth. I'm encouraging you all to come out, to learn, to educate, to find some resources, to network. This is also a chance for you to come out and network and show others your business and how you all can work together and whatnot. So, Gentlemen of Destiny being one of our brand new sponsors, honey, thank you, first of all. Secondly, Gentlemen of Destiny's got something coming up for the kiddies next Friday, so go for it, dear.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be able to support them. Yes, we do have an event coming up next Friday from 7 to 9 at the Sky Zone again, and we're just looking to take our young men out and just have a good time, have fun. We want to be able to entertain them, engage them, teach them, and do a lot of things for them, but to keep a hold of them, we also want to just go out and have some fun. And it's about one of those things I think that help build the relationship. That's why I'm so excited about the responses of the kids and talking to some of the parents, how, the kids are still, have talked about the program, the things that we've talked about beyond that actual day of having, the particular event. So
Yes.
I'm truly excited about the response. But again, yes, those who have preteens and teens, we definitely invite you to join us October the 18th at Sky Zone on Pulaski Highway.
Mm-hmm.
Just bring the kids out and have some fun, have some fellowship,
Right.
Enjoy, see what the program is all about. I invited, parents as well. So, hopefully we can get some parents to show up as well so we can kind of sit down and have a little dialogue about some other entertainment ideas and some other issues that the kids may be going through that
Right.
we need to address with the program.
Right. Now, I do want to mention that those of you who are familiar with Sky Zone, you know the cost of Sky Zone. Those of you who are not, it is like a great big jumping arena, trampolines, soft spaces to land, places to swing, and this, that, and the other. Okay, the cost is $30. If anyone is interested in sponsoring a child or two to attend this event who may not be able to attend this event, you can reach out to me or my husband, and we will, take care of that and help to, sponsor, help you forward your funds in order to sponsor a child to attend this event. Like my husband said, we encourage the parents to come. And, while their children are running around and running off all that energy that, might knock over some things at home, you can sit down and have an adult conversation and not have to worry about where your children are or what's going on. So please bring them on out. I know my son and his friends will be there. We've got a couple other people that are very interested. And heck, if you're an adult, you want to come out and jump around and lose your mind for a couple hours, bring it on. Okay.
And we're looking to sponsor kids. We know again because $30 may be a lot
Right.
for a single parent. Again, so we're willing to to help defray the costs if we can. And again, we definitely will take any donations. Anybody who's willing to help sponsor this, we would definitely
Right. So
appreciate.
you can contact either my husband at gentofdestiny@gmail.com. That's GENT of Destiny @gmail.com. Or you can email us at covenantconnection16@gmail.com. Either way, we're on both.
Absolutely. Or you can call me on 443-840-7212.
Yes.
And I'll definitely get back with you.
Yes. And also make it a point to make sure that you visit the WMSKOnlineRadio.com website for events, the mailing list, shows, more. There's a lot going on. Again, we mentioned 50 Shades of Blue is next Saturday from noon to 6 p.m. at the Furley Recreational Center, 4633 Furley Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland, which is right across from Furley Elementary School. There's ample parking, wheelchair accessibility, playground for the kids if you want to, bring the little ones and you want to let them run off some energy. There's a playground out there. It is a safe, it is a secure environment. Please note, it is a ticketed event. $10 adult, $5 student ages 6 through 17, 5 and under are free. Also note that you must have a ticket to enter. I don't want to have just anybody walking in and out because this is a domestic violence awareness event. We don't know what anybody or everybody is going through. So having armbands on everybody is going to let everybody in the building know that they are supposed to be there. Just know that for those of you who are contemplating whether or not you should come out, just know that we will have that. And my husband will do his best to be there and all of these other things. And we do have men in the building, which will also make sure that that they're safe. There's a safety measure. Okay, so just be comforted in that. If you're wondering if you should attend or not, we do have a safety measure in place, and we may have either Maryland State Police or Baltimore County on hand as well. So never fear, I got y'all's back. Okay, I got y'all's back. And I was talking to my husband while we were on break, and I was very excited about it because, and I want to bring this up because it is important. We are in Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Also, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There's a lot of folks that I network with who are breast cancer survivors. 3 years, 13 years, 27 years. So congratulations to all of you who have survived that. There's lupus, there's child autism, there's so many other causes during this month. Mine, of course, is domestic violence awareness. And
I believe what Beyonce's father is going through.
Yeah, he's going through breast cancer. Yes, men get it too. That's one of the things I do want to mention with this is that it's men and women. It's no longer just a women thing. Women are the majority, okay? But the men are also affected and victims of this. Last night's debate with the presidential candidates on equality rights. Okay, LGBTQ community is affected. The elder community is affected. The disabled community is affected. So, there's a lot that comes from just this core thing known as domestic violence. It reaches out into so many different entities. Yesterday was Mental Health Day. So mental health plays into it because it affects your psyche, it affects your self-esteem, it affects your awareness, it affects your, so many different things. It can lead to drug abuse, it can lead to homelessness, it can lead to a lot of other different things. But the reason that I want to bring this up is ever since they started these debates with the presidential candidates, is I have diligently been hitting their message boxes and their emails, asking the question regarding domestic violence. What is their viewpoint and what do they plan to do as a candidate? And should they receive the presidential nod, what is their viewpoint? What is their goal in that arena? Well, I finally received one. Okay, I send it all out again. I send it at least once a week. Okay, and I know they're busy, but once a week. And you all know that candidate Bernie Sanders, he had suffered a heart attack. And so Bernie's been doing a lot from home. So Bernie was my first response. And my question that I posed was that even though I'm posing it to all candidates, the issue is domestic violence. I said, I am a domestic violence survivor who hosts a yearly awareness conference. Tonight's debate focused on LGBTQ, but I am not hearing anything on the violence perpetuated in all communities. The Violence Against Women's Act is important to women across the country, especially in funding and more. So my question is this: what is your goal in this area, and how can we get more housing for single men and women subjected to this level of violence so they don't have to live in fear? Because remember, you've got single fathers out there that are subject to domestic violence, and there is not a place for them to go. You've got houses for women, but you don't have any to accommodate men. Now, the only places that accommodate men are the halfway houses and the drug rehab. Most single fathers don't need that. They need someplace that's safe for them, away from their right. So I'm not going to go into the whole answer, but his camp let me know that I posed a great question, and trust and believe he answered it. Okay, he gave a whole entire thing. He gave me his justice and safety plan. what his goals would be should he receive the presidential nod, especially in the immediate reauthorization of the Violence Against Women's Act, which is huge because that delves into funding of women's programs across the country. That's why 50 Shades of Blue is so important. I'm looking to provide those resources. I'm looking to help women and or men in areas that they need help in. It could be food, it could be a hotel room for the night, it could be diapers, it could be formula, it could be finding clothing, because sometimes, especially now with winter coming up, coats, gloves, hats, scarves, those things are important. Legal fees, sometimes it's legal fees, sometimes it's just transportation to get from one place to another. So that's why that to me was important to hear that. I hope to hear from the other candidates, but that is why I consistently reach out to the community and ask you to, please pray about it and put it on your heart to make a donation towards 50 Shades of Blue, because the money goes to help those in need. And especially around here, and trust me, I'm not helping just in the DMV. I've been contacted from California, from Georgia, from Texas, from the Midwest, you name it, I've been contacted. So it is important that we understand that just because it's not happening to us, if you've never been in this situation, that it's not important. And education is key, because we need to wipe out the basic stigma about domestic violence, because a lot of people think domestic violence is only a one-way street, and trust and believe it's not. And I am working on something where I'm asking my husband to give his viewpoint as a man that has dealt with me, a victim, now a survivor and a thriver. What he saw, what he experienced. Hello, Pastor Mines, and thank you for coming in. As I stated, you all can help by either donating to our Dollar Dash, which you can donate $1, or however your heart leads, to $ Beautiful Blue, BLUU, 2 U's for Beautiful Blue. Or you can go and donate via PayPal, or you can contact me. Either way, we're trying to raise our final $300, and any and all help is appreciated. And if the challenge is out there, if you can find 10 people that donate $1 and they want to find 10 people, I call it my 10 for 10. Okay. And just, help us to raise these funds. And Pastor Minds, we have already debuted our brand new jingle. So thank you. This is a Jonas Run day today, y'all. So y'all just stick with us. And again, if there's any way that we as Covenant Connection can help you and encourage you, that is also something that we have been led to do, want to do, have been called to do, and choose to do. Because my husband and I stand in agreement that, not only are we helping each other and we're dealing, we doctor our own relationship sometimes when we do these shows, because we have great discussions before, during, and after. And Pastor Linda, the PayPal is, you know what? I'm going to share that on I'll put that in the comments, because if I sit here and try to put it all out, y'all are going to be like, what? What'd she say? Okay. So I will make it a point to put it out on there for you, so you all have that information. Other than that, honey, do we have anything else that we need to put out here to our listeners before we go to commercial break and come back in on our topic of hypocrisy?
Yes, I don't have anything.
All right. So excuse me, as my tongue just okay. No, that's okay. We're playing the stingers. We're playing it all, and we're gonna play it again at the end of the show, Pastor. Pastor Mike, we're not leaving it all out. We're gonna play this song today. Okay, that's the way this is gonna go, because we are so tickled to have this done, and to hear you all sing. It just does us so much good to hear you all sing, and for us to be a part of not only your journey, but having you be a part of our journey is just huge. Okay, so with that being said, We will play it again. We're playing the Stingers. We're doing all of it. So, we're going to cut to commercial break, and then we're going to come right back in with our topic of hypocrisy and transparency. So you are listening to Covenant Connection with the Majors, live on the home of Cheryl Underwood Morning Show, WNSKOnlineradio.com, where
Talk radio just got better.
we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. All right, y'all. I am getting ready to put this. All right, guys, put that on there.
Yeah, so definitely wanted to put my cash app out there
Okay, we're gonna get that. We're gonna get all of that on there. Trust and believe.
and to let them know again, transparency will be there to show them what was spent and on what everything goes toward the program for the young men.
Yes.
It's not about making them money.
Okay, I just shared the link with you all. The Cash App, I'm also putting that up there. I wish I had my, I do have the scan also because there's a page where people can scan for Cash App. For Gentlemen of Destiny, what is it?
My name.
Dollar sign, just your name?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's how it came up.
Look at your Cash App, make sure.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay, I'm putting the page link for Gentlemen of Destiny up there as well. Y'all getting a whole lot right now before we come back in. Again, like I said, we're going to make it a point to play the jingle again, so that Pastor Mines can hear it and hear how good it sounds. Again, we've got so much that's going on right now. And what is it, Ben?
Dollar sign, Victor Stephen Major.
You need to change that. You know what? You need it to reflect. All right, and then there's the Cash App for my husband, for Gentlemen of Destiny. We will also put that up on the Gentlemen of Destiny page, and so on and so forth. So, again, thank you all for your support. Thank you all for being here. If you have any comments, any concerns, anything like that, if you wish to call in and give your opinion, okay, or input or interact with us, the call-in number after we come back in is 570-763-WMSK. That's 570-763-9675. Okay, and I will put that as well.
Make sure you send that to Pastor Linda so she can call.
Oh, it's going on the page so she can see it.
Okay.
All right, so that is up there, the call-in number. Y'all just getting the information out the wazoo right now. And it is greatly appreciated. Trust and believe it is.
Published, then publishing ASAP. We're looking for authors of all types of books. And unlike most publishers, Page Publishing will take the time to review each and every book submitted to us. And we'll give you our feedback. And if we like what we read, we will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, the Apple iTunes Store, Barnes & Noble, and other outlets. We handle everything. Editing, cover design, copyright protection, printing, publicity, and distribution. So if you've written a novel, children's book, cookbook, inspirational work, poetry, or a biography and want to get it published, call Page Publishing now for your free author submission kit. Your road to fame and fortune might very well start with this simple phone call. Call now, 800-219-8262.
All right, here y'all go so you can hear it one more time. One more again.
800-219-8262. That's 800-219-8262.
Love it. And we are back, and y'all just got blessed yet again by Jonas Run with our debut of our brand new intro song. I am so tickled that we already know the words. We just got it, and we already know the words for it. So thank you again to Jonas Run for the gift and the blessing for that. And Pastor Linda said they better sing. Okay, all right. Pastor Mines, you hear that? Okay, we got you. Now we just got to put that whole entire. They debuted their album. It's out. We got to get that whole album up on here. We need to get all of that. I mean, our favorite songs are on here: "Prodigal Me" and "Moving On From Here." And it's just the point of the fact that we have been blessed, and they have been a blessing to not only us but to the community. So thank you again to Jonas Run. Now let's get back into our topic, which is, and Pastor Mind is like thrilled. He is up there hitting the button. Okay. Let's get back into our topic, which is hypocrisy and transparency. And we're kind of touching on a number of subjects because it's not just a biblical thing that we need to talk about. It's a humanistic thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Pastor Linda said I need to get them to do one for my new talk show. Pastor Mines, there you go. There is your network connection. There is the covenant connection right there at work. Okay. Pastor Linda, say hello to Pastor Mines, and y'all do your thing. Just make sure you tag WMSK and Covenant Connection and Lady Blue and all's well. Okay. Anyway, going back to the topic, it's not just a biblical viewpoint that we're looking at. We're looking at the world viewpoint. We're looking at the humanistic viewpoint of hypocrisy and transparency. We understand the meaning of hypocrisy, which is, it comes from the Greek term for actor, which literally means one who wears a mask. So in other words, someone who pretends to be what they are not. The Bible does call hypocrisy a sin. Let's put that out there. Okay. It does state in what I'm looking at on gotquestions.org, which is another Bible website that I look at. It says that hypocrisy, there are two forms of it that it can take. The professing belief in something and then acting in a manner contrary to that, and the looking down on others when we ourselves are the ones that are flawed. So, and I agree completely with both of those.
Yeah, that's the spectrum of mode.
Spec, long, doing one thing and acting another, putting on the mask when you go outside because you want people to see you and for you to always be right and always be, have people see you in this light, and then you break down when you get home. Okay, so you're not true to yourself and you're not true to those who know you. I brought up the fact that there's other things that speak about hypocrisy in the Bible, and I brought up the prophet Isaiah. And in Isaiah 29, and it specifically points out verse 13, but in Isaiah 29 it says, "The Lord says, these people come near me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." Okay, their worship of me is made up of only rules taught by men.
Okay. And that's speaking about the Sadducees and the Pharisees, doesn't it?
Come on, Pastor Mines, seriously? Because we was ready to. Okay, I'll tell you about that in a minute. Okay, I almost bit my tongue when I saw it. But yes, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, because we know that even they pretended to be one way in public to uphold the law and the rule of the land at the time. But remember, they was the ones sneaking behind trying to figure out a way to do what? Kill Jesus.
Yeah.
And then it says, centuries later, Jesus quoted this verse aiming the same condemnation at the religious leaders of his day in Matthew 15, verses 8 through 9. John the Baptist refused to give hypocrites a pass, telling them, produce fruits worthy of repentance. That was in Luke 3, verse 8. And then it says, Jesus took an equally staunch stand against sanctimony when he called hypocrites wolves in sheep's clothing. That's in Matthew 7:15. Whitewashed tombs, Matthew 23:27.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to read.
Okay.
Read that one.
And also snakes and brood of vipers. That's also in Matthew 23. So go. You got your verse, or do I need to pull it up because
I got it.
Okay.
And that's Matthew 23. That's that the warning against hypocrisy, and that's Matthew 23:27 and 28. It says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrite! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside you're full of bones and dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people righteous, but on the inside you're full of hypocrisy and wickedness."
Mercy, mercy, mercy.
Yeah, I mean,
you just have to sit and think about that.
it is. I mean, and I think something we were reading last night again, where we were talking about hypocrisy, and it gave an example about the forest, and there are lots of trees in the forest, and you have these great big old trees in the forest, and you're wondering why not just cut down a bigger tree, which has a lot more wood than these smaller, younger trees. And again, but they said when you look at those stories in children's books and things like that, those large trees are the ones that have the holes in it and have, a feel rotten on the inside.
Hollow, yeah.
They're hollow on the
Hollow,
inside.
yeah,
You
hollow.
cut down that tree, that looks on the outside to be big and strong and growing, greatly, but on the inside it's hollowed out. And again, that's an excellent visual of how we are as people sometimes.
Yeah.
Where we on the outside appear to have it going on, appear to be doing the right things, appear to be righteous, but on the inside, we're not right with God, but we're portraying something that's not true.
Right.
And that's why
And it mentioned about, that the wind would blow that over. It would show
absolutely
that it's
during the storms,
yeah.
that's the one that blows.
Right.
Those are the trees that blow over.
Right. And I want to go back to, the speck and the log. It's like we got a new name for it. Okay. But it kind of goes into the fact that, this was addressed as a form of hypocrisy on the speck and the sawdust was in the Sermon on the Mount, for those of you who do not know about that one. And it says, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. That's Matthew 7, verses 3 through 5. Jesus is not teaching against discernment or helping others overcome sin. Instead, he's telling us not to be so prideful and convinced of our own goodness that we criticize others from a position of self-righteousness. We should do some introspection first and correct our own shortcomings before we go after the specks in others.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
and that's a perfect segue for another scripture I was looking at in Galatians 6.
Okay.
It says doing good to all, and that's Galatians 6, 3 and 4.
Okay.
It says that anyone who thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. And I think we mentioned that earlier. Each one should test their own actions. They take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. For each one should carry their own load. Nevertheless, one who receives instruction from the world should should dare, should share all good things with their instructors.
Mm.
So again, that one again speaks to me about, how we view ourselves, and to take a good look in the mirror at ourselves and our own actions, and not deceive ourselves. Again, so to look in the mirror and be transparent with yourself,
Right.
then you're not deceiving yourself about your own flaws.
Right.
And that's the thing that we need to do before looking at anyone else or their actions, because the only person we can change is ourselves.
Right, exactly. And it brings to mind the visual that I've seen. You brought up the tree. The visual I have is of the apple that's looking at itself in the mirror. And in the mirror, this apple looks great, right? Red, shiny, beautiful. Looks like it's just ready to eat. But on the backside, it's already half eaten, half rotten, falling apart. Okay. And just like you said, how you're presenting yourself to the world, the mask on the outside versus you're letting the world see only part of you versus all of you. Okay. And that brings up, we talk about judgment. We talk a little bit about judgment, not a whole lot about judgment, but it brings up Romans 2, verse 1, where it says, therefore you have no excuse, O man, every one of you who judges, for in passing judgment on another, you condemn yourself, because you, the judge, practice the very same things. Hypocrisy, you can't see. To call yourself judge and jury, and you the one doing the same wrong that you accusing this person of, or people of, or whatever the case may be, that is another level of
judge not lest you be judged.
Hypocrisy. And Pastor Linda says, he that is without sin, cast the first stone. That was another.
That was exactly, that was one of those examples in the Bible that I wanted to address too. And I think, I remember Pastor Mickey, Kevin Mickey, speaking about that particular scripture, and imagine the hypocrisy of wanting to stone a woman who's in a adulterous affair.
Mm-hmm.
And and he painted the scenario again. You were talking about painting the scenario where you're talking about early in the morning, and then somebody who's looking in the window of someone and then wanting to kill them. But Jesus knew that each one of them had sinned and probably had slept with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they're willing to throw stones at her, they're willing to stone her and kill her for the very actions they
and for all we know,
doing
she was adulterous with some of them ones that was throwing at stones.
And exactly, that's what I was talking about. I said, who was that looking in the window at 6 o'clock in the morning?
It's hard to break. I do want to bring up this because I know we wanted to touch on the many levels, and we spoke about the Pharisees, okay, and how zealous they were about following every letter of the law and making themselves, appear to be adhering to that law, but at the same time, and I'm looking at what's here, actively seeking loopholes to allow them to violate the spirit of the law. And so it states they displayed a lack of compassion toward their fellow man and were often overly demonstrative of their so-called spirituality in order to garner praise. Okay, and of course we know Jesus denounced their behavior in no uncertain terms, pointing out that justice, mercy, and faithfulness are more important than pursuing perfection based on faulty standards. He made it clear that the problem was not with the law, but with the way in which the Pharisees implemented it. Now, turn that into today's society. What are we going through right now? We're going through, and I'm looking back up here, appearing to adhere to the law, but seeking out loopholes to allow you to violate the spirit of the law. I put up on social media how we have to remember that the Constitution says we the people, not me, the president. It is not a one-man show. There's too many of us here that are seeing, what is going on. And I'm not calling out political parties. What I'm looking at is look at the action that is happening, okay? The problem is not the law. It's the way the law is being implemented, okay? So the word Pharisee today has become synonymous with hypocrite. So would it be safe to say that we are walking among Pharisees?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We work in a world of
Yeah, a world of Pharisees. Okay.
Absolutely.
But now it also says that it must be noted that hypocrisy is not the same as taking a stand against sin. For example, it is not hypocrisy to teach that drunkenness is a sin, which we know that's a sin. Unless the one teaching against the drunkenness is the one that gets drunk every weekend. That's hypocrisy. That's another example of hypocrisy. You go out and you're teaching something, but yet still you back home doing what you're trying to teach everybody else not to do. You're seeing yourself as sanctimonious, as what do we call it, holier than thou, in order to perpetrate. And Pastor Linda says he addressed the behavior, not the individual. We have to be careful about how we speak. The church has to raise the standard. Thank you, Pastor Linda, for that. But yeah, I think it's important to understand that hypocrisy is not the same as taking a stand against sin. There's a difference there.
No doubt.
For the story of the Pharisees, that's Matthew 23. You can read Matthew 23 to deal with that story and all of those things. But we also, in talking about this, I think we need to bring up the fact that we still strive. We still, as Christians, as believers, strive to be Christ-like. Okay, not perfectionists, not we get labeled as do-gooders. Well, because we want to do good, I think, is what it is. But, in our striving, we also understand our faults. And I think that's where a hypocrite lacks. They don't,
Right.
It's not that they don't understand their faults, it's that they just don't want to show them.
Don't want to see them. And that's why, again, I was prayerful and struggling, not necessarily struggling, but trying to find that connection. And last night it really started to become clear of why that transparency is kind of the opposite of hypocrisy, and that importance for us in being transparent, especially as Christians, again to help ourselves grow. We can't grow if we can't address the issues, and that's one of the things we talked about. What you can't confront, you can't conquer.
Wow. Yeah.
If you're not able to be real and addressing what you need to confront, then you can't win that battle. You can't conquer that thing that's flawed in you.
Right.
You can't see it. You're willing to continue walking as a hypocrite. Then you can't bring nobody else along with you. You can't help nobody else because somebody's going to see you. What happens in the dark will come to the light. That's in the Bible as well.
In the Bible as well. Yes.
So what you think you're hiding in the dark truly is going to come to light. So I think everyone respects someone who's able to be transparent wherever they are in their walk. Even if we talk about the political situations, we've seen how forgiving people can be, and that's where we have to have enough compassion and heart in the body of Christ to forgive someone who's done wrong, and being able to be transparent. You see a politician. If a politician can stand up there and say, yes, I have done wrong, we are a lot more liable to forgive them for whatever wrong they've done.
Okay.
But if you're going to be a hypocrite, like we see in this current administration, and we were talking about it last night, and not to get too political or get too far off the track, but we were talking about the number of people, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and it was funny, the hypocrisy that he was talking about, because he talked about the abortion situation and how all abortion is wrong and it's still murder, and regardless of life and regardless of how old the fetus may be, whether what week you're in or whatever, but in that same breath, with that same mouth, he's speaking murder or execution. He had no problem with executing murderers. Where are we in our forgiveness in either situation? Where are we with the heart of God because the heart of God is a God of forgiveness, and that's in the daily bread that I was reading. That's what they talked about. They talked about the heart of God to forgive, talking about the God loving or having the heart for those hypocrites.
Mhm.
And the God who still loved Judah, even though Judah was that hypocrite, ready to stone Tamar. But again, that transparency that eventually Judah showed, he was able to um, be transparent,
Right.
take ownership, take responsibility for what he did, and rectify the situation.
Right.
That's the transparency we need.
Right.
And again, it takes that compassion, it takes the heart, and it takes us not being so self-righteous about the law, the rule, what we believe, what we feel.
I mean, we have to come
It comes
together at
to
some
that
point. Right. And it's interesting you bring up that selfishness and, putting on a show of self-sacrifice or self-glorification is hypocritical. When you're constantly talking about, see me, love me, you know, praise my deeds, this, that, and the other. The Bible talks about that too. About, don't go out there, don't do something good and then go out there and blow your horn. Okay. Let me read it for what it is. It's Matthew 6:2. It says, therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound a trumpet before you as the hypocrites do in synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory from men. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. So when you're going out, okay, and I'm not going to mention any statements or anything like that, but when you're going out saying, I'm the best you've ever had, and I'm the only one who can, and I'm the only one that can be, that's self glorification. It's not a way of saying, we did this together. Or
I mean, and that's a lack of humility.
yes. Okay.
And again, that's why I said humility is so important to the transparency that we need to have.
Mhm.
I mean, because it takes humility to look at yourself in the mirror, see your flaws, admit your flaws.
It does.
It
It really does.
It's that ego and arrogance that
Yes.
wants to puff itself up and believe that I'm the greatest.
And I want to challenge those that are listening right now. Okay, and I do it from time to time. I don't know if you do or not, but I'm going to challenge you to because I did a challenge before, and I really didn't hear about this challenge, but I want you all to, for the next several days, go to your mirror. And, the Bible talks about looking in the mirror and then walking away and forgetting what you've seen.
Mhm.
But I want you to go to the mirror and I want you to speak to that person in the mirror. Okay? And I want you to tell that person, give that person, speak life to that person that's in that mirror. Okay? Look at yourself for who you are, not what you're getting ready to walk out the door and be. Look at yourself for who you are. Look at yourself for, all your, pimples, lumps, bumps, one eye lower than the other, this, that, and the other. Look at yourself at what God has made and speak life to that person for the next 7 days. Speak life to that person.
And that's important, being able to look at yourself as God sees you. You can see the flaws, but God still loves you through them flaws. So you can still have that positive affirmation about who you are and your goodness and all of that without it being all about you. It's about how God sees you and how God created you and who you are in His eyes.
Right. And I want to bring this up. I challenge you all with that, but this when I was looking at this, because BibleInfo.com is another place that I also go for reading, but it says man-made traditions cannot substitute the commandments of God. Being a Christian is more than just professing that you are. True love, honor, and worship come from following His word. It's in the Bible, Mark 7:6-8. As He said to them, well, did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites as it is written? This people honors with me their lips, but their heart is far from me. In vain do they worship, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. You leave the commandment of God and hold to the tradition of men. You are not here for the glory of men. You are here to do the work of the kingdom, to lead, to lay down that path for the next generation to follow. And that's what we are trying to do, whether it be through, my initiative, through my husband's initiative, through whatever initiative you may have, whatever nonprofit, whatever it is that you're doing, okay, you're not here for the praise of men. You've got to do it with God in mind. And, if you have to talk to yourself through the whole thing going, what would Jesus do? Okay, then ask yourself, what would Jesus do? Okay.
Absolutely.
But, just to bring another level on that, hypocrisy is knowing the truth but not obeying it. Claiming Christ as Lord without following him. And that's in the Bible in Matthew 23. We just talked about Matthew 23. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You shut the kingdom of heaven. You shut the kingdom of heaven in men's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying. So again, that goes back to that speck and the plank, okay? If you aren't going to do it, what gives you the right to tell somebody else that they can't? All right? And just because we are not hypocritical does not excuse us from not following God's commands. Okay, our lives should be transparent of Christ living in us and converting us. Okay, that's in James 2:18 through 20. Okay, we know that if you have faith and I have works, show me your faith without your works, and I'll show you my faith with my works. Okay, you believe that there is one God, you do well. Even demons believe, and we talked about that before. Yeah. We're walking on the same earth, we're breathing the same air, we're seeing the same sun, moon, stars. Evil sees that too. It's all about discernment, okay? But even the demons believe and they tremble. But do you want to know, oh foolish man, that faith without works is dead? Okay, so hypocrisy is also, again, it talks about our lives being transparent. Okay, so that's where these two come together. Aren't you glad? Yes. Okay. Okay. So this is an interesting statement, and I'm just not too far off the track, but it says, we do not obey Jesus to be saved, but it is our response to his love and the gift of salvation that adds to our salvation. Okay. Wow. And that's in John 14:15. If you love me, keep my commandments. Okay. So God's love for us awakens love for him and others who he gave his life for. Because remember, God didn't just do it for you. He did it for all mankind, good, bad, indifferent, tall, short, fat, skinny, doesn't matter. He took that on for all of us. It's when you start getting into that I mentality where hypocrisy comes in. I did it. I alone can fix it. When that I thing starts coming in, that's when that ego starts blowing up, and that's when you start believing the things that technically are not true. Okay, and then you've got to really step back and you've got to look at it and say, gotta change that. I can't be doing that. So I know you got something over there because you got your Bible.
I do, and there's another scripture here in Titus 1:16, where it talks about rebuking those who fail to do good. Mm-hmm. And again, that's Titus 1:16. It says they claim to know God, but by their actions they deny him. They are detestable, disobedient, and unfit to doing any good. Mm. Okay. And again, you talk about those who are claiming to know God, mm-hmm. but their actions show differently. And I tell you what, when I forget exactly where the scripture is, where it says even to know the good that you should do and not do it is a sin, was one of those things that really shook me to my core and how we walk as Christians, again, because in your heart, when you're at a place to do good, and it's not about you, it's about doing the good to help and touch God's people as God leads and guides you and directs you. Right. If God is guiding and directing you to do good and you don't do it, then it's still a sin.
Right. What does that say about you as a person?
But again, when you're claiming to know God and your actions don't show, the fruits are not there, mm-hmm. then again it talks about you being detestable, disobedient, and not fit for doing any good.
That is true.
Again, because your actions should speak much louder than your words. And that's the thing that Jesus berated the Pharisees and the Sadducees so much about, all the great flowery words and going and preaching
Same
in the
thing when he
synagogues
overturned the
and
tables in the
and
synagogue too, because he walked in there, and it was just like, it's my father's house. Why y'all up in here doing this kind of thing in my father's house? So yeah, you're right. Mm. Boy, my brain is going faster than my tongue today. The many ways that hypocrisy and transparency work in our daily lives is interesting, to say the least. Okay, I know we touched on biblical, we touched on, a little bit on political, and we touched on daily living as well. Hypocrisy, we talked about hypocrisy in our family environments, hypocrisy in, how we teach our children and what we do, in terms for ourselves, let's touch just a little bit in our final part of the show. At marriages, relationships. Talking about, I talk about being transparent in your relationships, because that's what being in a relationship is about. You open yourself up to be vulnerable, you open yourself up to be transparent and show that person who you really are. And that's something that doesn't happen again. I know this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but that's the thing that does not happen in a domestic violence relationship. One person is not going to be transparent. They're not going to be vulnerable, but the other person is vulnerable because they're subject to this violence. Okay. So what's your viewpoint on that in a marriage situation?
I think it's vital. It's vital to a relationship. And again, as we talk about relationships and we talk about the Bible being a book of relationships, that's why we talk about that, having that transparency in how we live. I think as far as a relationship, it's vital because being able to be transparent allows you to hold your partner to hold you accountable.
Right.
If you're hiding in the dark, you can't be held accountable for something that's not out there and you believe your partner doesn't know. But if me as a man, as your husband, can be transparent with you about an issue that I'm having, now I have to hold myself accountable. Mm-hmm. Now you're in a position where you can hold me accountable. Now we can have discussions. Now we can grow.
Right.
But hiding in the dark, you can hide and lie and do things that you believe that you can get away with, and your partner is not gonna know, and it's okay. You don't have to hold yourself accountable because you think nobody knows. So that transparency is absolutely vital to a relationship. That's why we always talk about why it's so important to be able to communicate, to share the things that are in your heart, to share the things that you're thinking, feeling, and not hold back, not deny yourself, not worry about what this other person is going to think, not worry about what the effects are going to be if I say them. You say them because you want the cards to be on the table. Now we can play the hand that we got.
Right.
Otherwise, you playing with half of a deck in your relationship. You can't win a card game with half a deck. That we know.
Oh, he'll never let me live that down. So anyway, yeah, you need all 52 cards for that one. Anyway, good playing with. Go get your book with half a deck. Let's put it down. Ooh, I just used it. Ooh, hello. I am not gonna lie, I do not know how to play spades, people. I'll play a whole bunch. I'll play goldfish.
No, but
everything else.
But again, as we talk about relationships, I think that goes to all relationships. Mm-hmm. If I'm in business with you and I'm not being transparent with you about what I'm doing over here and you doing something over there, our business is going to fail. Our business is going to have a problem.
I'll fall down somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In our work relationship, if I'm telling you I'm doing something over here, or I'm not telling you what I'm doing over here, and you doing what you're doing over there, something is broken, something is missing. It is not going to be as effective as it can be without that transparency and that communicating that transparency.
That's true. That's true. Now that transparency in the church world. How do we bring that across to the church community being in the form of transparency? We already know about hypocrisy, okay? How do we bring the transparency into the church? How do we bring that? Your opinion. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm just saying. How do we bring that transparency?
I mean, it's at the top. I love Pastor Lee because Pastor Lee can talk about some things and be real about it. And I can respect him and appreciate where he's coming from so much better because he's being real.
Right.
He's being human as well.
Right.
So, and that's an individual thing. Once you see that at the top, if my pastor can be transparent, okay, now why can't I? That's what I need to do.
Right.
I need to be able to be transparent and put that out there because that's the thing that's going to help me in my spiritual walk and my spiritual growth.
Right.
So again, I believe it starts at the top. Because if you have these pastors that are, claiming to be holier than thou, or is that they walk on water, or they're so self-righteous, as again you view, a lot of us from the outside looking in, non-Christians and even young Christians look at our pastor or minister, whoever, our reverend, and we place them high on a pedestal, and now they want to keep that image. Then it's hard for them to be and transparent again because everybody's holding them in such high esteem, and that's a deadly trap.
Right. But
It's a deadly trap. But when you have, when you have a pastor who's willing to do that and be that, I think it filters down, to the rest of the church to be able to be that.
Agreed. Now I want to say this because I mentioned this, I believe last week. You mentioned it. I brought it into our conversation because it was a part of a conversation we had. Out of everything that we're talking about, okay, the biggest thing to remember is these are people. We're human beings. Nobody came into this world saying, okay, and they didn't come with a tag that said, I'm a pastor, okay, or a tag that said, I'm a doctor. These are choices that were made along the way in life. Okay, so going back to the beginning is that in the church, everyone in the church is a person first. Okay, it's just some have a calling that others do not. And it's the same thing in life. Not everybody can be a mortician. Not everybody can be a police officer. Not everybody can be a doctor. Not everybody can be an EMT. Everybody is a person first with faults, with wrong thoughts, with, sin, okay, with being subject to temptation, being subject to all of the things that we're talking about, all human beings are subject to, minus their title, okay?
Absolutely. One other thing I just was dropped in my spirit, that when you're able to be transparent, and especially as a Christian, now the people who are closer to you can be focused and intentional on the things that they're praying for you about. That's why I love
Better support, yeah.
absolutely. That's why I love the fellowship I have with some of the men from LS Revival and some of the men that I've met recently. Again, because that helps hold me accountable because I can be transparent with my brothers, and my brothers can be specific about what they're praying for me about.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm lying, if I ain't saying nothing about it, they don't even know what to pray for me for.
That's true.
They have no clue, no idea. They have no idea what I'm struggling with, what I need help in. And in the end, it helps me.
Wow. And you just got that?
Yeah, that was an email I just got from God.
And he wasn't even on his knees. Thank you very much. No, but that's a wonderful point. I'm sitting over here, my mind is just mulling it over, kind of like how a couch.
No,
I
but
was in here.
I can see a lot of people around me, and I'm sure you know as well too, because there's some families that have these family secrets and all these kind of things. And I'm not saying be transparent, tell everybody all your business kind of thing,
Right.
but when you're in a place of need, when you're struggling with something and you need some help, you need to be able to find somebody to be transparent with.
Right.
Again, because those things, they don't help you. You can sometimes you can see somebody spiritually struggling with something. You can see them going through it, but they ain't gonna never tell you what it is they're dealing with because they're afraid or ashamed to reveal themselves and their frailties. But then you at a place where you stop, you say, Lord help them, whatever it is. But
Wow.
if they have a partner, that they have somebody that they can be transparent with, again, like I said, those focus and prayers can be direct, and intentional.
I love my husband. With everything that we said today in regards to transparency, hypocrisy, mankind, whatever your situation may be, what is the one thing that you would tell somebody who would walk up to you and is dealing with this? What is one thing that you might want to say to them if they're dealing with, hypocrisy in their life?
And you're asking me that
Yes,
question?
I'm asking you that question.
I would say find somebody that you can be transparent with, because that thing it's liberating when you can reveal those things that you've been, holding on to for a long time first. And then secondly, it's a bond that you share with somebody. Because all my life, I've had people share their deepest, dirtiest stuff with me, and I could never figure out why. To me, it was a blessing and a curse sometimes, but I realized it was something that God gave me because I had the ability to listen, the ability to have compassion, and that thing helps people heal. It really does. It really helps people heal when you can share and reveal something to somebody that you just eating you up inside. And I've had people that, like I said, I've never met before do that very thing with me. So find somebody, even if it's not somebody in your immediate circle, find somebody that you can be transparent with about what it is that you are going through with those frailties, those sins, whatever deep dark secrets. Have somebody that you can share with.
And I think that comes down to that one great big word, trust. Because you don't want to just share with anybody, because you don't know what that person may or may not do with the information that they've been given. So trust is also a factor in that.
It is, and for me, that's not the end all, the be all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just speaking to myself. Everybody don't take this because it might not be for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, sometimes I'm just being real.
Right.
For me, just being able to verbalize that thing sometimes. Because at that point, I'm not worried about I'm not worried about what you do with that information, or if you can hurt me with it or not. If I feel that great need to share, so I can dump it off of me, I don't care what you do with it. Me personally,
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't care. I ask God to protect me and cover me no matter what. So I'm not worried about what you decide to do, because that's gonna be on you.
Right.
That's gonna be something.
That's true.
I ain't got to live with it no more, because now I done dumped it.
Right. There you go. Okay. Well, you know what? This topic is, Pastor Linda says, great topic. This has been a very interesting topic, to say the least. There are, avenues that we can take off of this to, bring a little more light that will come all the way back to the main topic, which is hypocrisy and transparency. I don't know, we might have to make transparency one of our,
Absolutely. And that's why I didn't want to make it a negative. Again, like I said, that thing had been in my spirit all week long. I didn't want to make it a negative or negative about the church or our government or whatever, but that's why that thing about
we gotta look at that.
transparency was that positive
Right.
to the negative
Right.
that I really needed in my spirit
And it's
to get off, as a part of this hypocrisy. Because the hypocrisy is being, it's real. It's being able to discuss that ugly part of who we are and what we do and how we live.
Right.
But that transparency is that anti-hypocrisy, that thing that's going to kill the hypocrisy in us.
So true. Well, I want to, if you don't mind, I'm going to close this out with a few things that I found on hypocrisy for our major thought of the day.
All right.
Okay. First of all, every veil secretly desires to be lifted except the veil of hypocrisy. Chew on that for a second, okay? Another one is, a person may be noted by the standards he flaunts ostentatiously, but is known by the double standards that unveils his true disposition subconsciously.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah. I could go quote for quote up in here. There's a whole lot of different things. You can go church, you can go societal, you can go political, you can do all the things, but the one main factor that is noted in all of these things that I'm looking at is that a mask is involved. There is a quote here from Billy Sunday under Signs of the Hypocrites in Church. It says, hypocrites in the church, yes, and in the lodge and at home. Yeah. Don't hunt through the church for a hypocrite. Go home and look in the mirror.
My God.
Hypocrites, yes. See that you make the number one less.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you ain't got to walk through the church to see a hypocrite. Just go ahead and stand on the street corner.
I love that because people want to look at the church and criticize the church and use that for a reason,
right,
not to come to church when everybody else around you is a hypocrite.
Right.
And again, as we talked about earlier, the church is made up of people, flawed people.
Right.
So,
Right. So, and again, one more, hypocrites. Hypocrisy is the state of pretending to have beliefs, opinions, virtues, feelings, qualities, or standards that one does not actually have. Hypocrisy involves the deception of others and is thus a lie. All right. So those are a few things for you to think on in regards to hypocrisy. But like I said, it all comes down to one factor, and that is the mask. Do you keep the mask on? Do you take the mask off? That is my major thought for you for today. Deal with your mask. Okay? If you're wearing one, deal with it. Okay? Because it is either going to make or it is going to break you. And my husband mentioned earlier, what's done in the dark is gonna come to light. It's just a matter of when. Not how, but when that it happens. So think about that as you go through your day and your weekend. And I just want to thank everybody that joined us on Facebook Live, on the YouTube channel, and also on the downloaded app that is on your phone. Feel free to go back and replay any one of these videos. Please use the hashtag replay when you do, so that we know you watched the replay. And if there's something you want us to discuss, if you have a topic in mind, feel free to email us and let us know what it is that you'd like us to put, in our think tank, so that we can, talk about it as we do before any show. Talk about it and then come on with what our thoughts are about it. Again, you can email us at covenantconnection16@gmail.com, and we welcome all and any interaction in regards to Covenant Connection. Make sure you keep it locked here on WMSK Online Radio for any show, and there's a show for everybody. Lady Blue, Open Wide with Me, Hip Hop Humanism, The Cypher, Uncut Sports Talk. There's a bunch of different shows. The Vault, and there's something for everybody, whether it be hip hop or news or fashion or whatever. But if you have a show idea, if you want to be on radio, if you are ready to start your show, give us a ring, give us a call. Send us an email to WMSKonlineradio@gmail.com, and we will gladly get back with you if you're looking for radio marketing. Remember, I gave you 2 ways that you can support a great cause and get radio marketing and expand your audience. Also reach out in that aspect. And remember, we have the events coming up next week. We have the Sky Zone with Gentlemen of Destiny next Friday from 7 to 9,
Yes.
right? 7 to 9. And then we have the 5th annual 50 Shades of Blue Domestic Violence Awareness Conference coming up on Saturday right here in Baltimore. There's a lot of things going on in Baltimore, so make sure you keep it locked here. Follow us on social media. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We do try to keep up with keeping our pages as current as possible. But, realize, y'all, we got lives, okay? We have other things to do. Make sure you're following WMSK on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, okay? And that you are subscribed to our mailing list for shows, events, and more. If I have left out anything, please know that you are in our hearts and in our prayers. We know there's a lot of things that are going on. We want to pray for our current administration. We want to pray for the incidents that are going on around the world. We want to pray for those that are going through bereavement, those that are incarcerated, as well as those that are in and out of the hospital with doctor's appointments and such. We also want to shout out LS Revival Center, Harvest Assembly Baptist Church, Shift Nation Church, CRL Ministries here in Baltimore, and the pastors of each of those churches, Pastor Kevin Mickey, Pastor Abrams and his wife Velvet, Bishop Stokes and his wife, Pastor Lee and his wife. So many have poured into and given. We also want to give another quick shout out to our friends of Jonah's Run out there in Hampton, Virginia.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for pouring into this show. We invite you back at any time to be a guest on this show and allowing us to work with you and to for all of the things that have happened since we met you. Thank you so much for being a part of our lives.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Well,
I mean they've won awards. They've released their album, which is available on iTunes, so y'all go on over there and get it and and listen in and just enjoy. You can follow Jonah's Run on Facebook, and I believe they're on Instagram as well. If not, I'm sure Pastor Mike will let me know. But follow. Be blessed by all who contribute to the show, who come into the show, and the biggest shout out goes to our CEO and founder of WMSK Online Radio, Ms. Connoisseur herself, Tia Hamilton, who is out there pounding the pavement, making sure that we are on air. And she's the editor-in-chief for State vs. Us magazine. She's got the urban book read store that is in the works and getting ready to open. State vs. Us magazine is selling out left and right. So make sure if you don't have a copy of that, get a copy, because the stories in there will awaken you to a lot of things that are going on in the community. And I want to leave you all real quick because I shared this with my husband last night, and I don't have it committed to memory. Is one of the quotes from James Baldwin, because I've been reading James Baldwin a lot as of late. And, he said a lot of things in regards to America and the way things are going, but a couple of things that really stood out. One of the things is this, and you mentioned it, he said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. Okay, so we've got to deal with what is going on in our country, in our churches, in our homes. We've got to be able to deal with it. And in terms of the mask, James Baldwin says, love takes off masks that we fear we cannot live without, and we know we cannot live within. So I leave you with that poignant thought from James Baldwin. Thank you all for being here. Join us again next Friday from 11 to 1 p.m. for WMSK, on WMSKOnlineRadio.com for Covenant Connection. Join me on Thursdays from 9 to 11 for the Lady Blue Radio Show. And just keep it locked right here, because talk radio just keeps getting better. Other than that, guys, as we always say here, we love you.
There's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Not a doggone thing. So get out there, enjoy your weekend, enjoy this wonderful, brisk fall weather, because fall is here, okay? And we hope to see you at our events next week. Be safe, be blessed, and make sure you share your blessings, because you never know, you may be the only Bible or good thing somebody gets in their day.
Have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you next time. We're gonna close out with a little more of Jonas Run. Have a great one.
100.
Yes, all right.
100.
Keep it 100, as Willie Moore Jr. would say. Keep it 100. 100. 100. Okay, anyway, y'all know what to do. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
God bless.
All right, folks, we're going to give you one more taste of Jonas Run in here, and then we are outie. All right? Y'all have a blessed and wonderful weekend.